consequences attached
Yeah.
to when that thing is removed are severe. Nobody prepares you for the world of faith. There is no handbook. There is no outline. There is no guide by guide. Step 1 to step 10. There's nothing. You get it, and yesterday you weren't, and today you are.
And tomorrow you're not.
Oh, well, no, we're done. People get shell shocked. That to me has always been the point of no return. At the end of the day, this can wear off if and when, however sees or decides, and if that were to happen, well, what am I? Where am I? It's all gonna center back to: are you happy with who you are and what you did? Are you at a point where you are okay? Do you know you, and are you okay with you? If you are not, it'll break you.
Your energy is incredible, and just the depth. What I love about this, and this was my vision with the show, and you're helping me achieve that, which I'm very grateful for, is I don't think, and I love that you've been doing this more and more with the Audible, with Heart to Heart, like we're getting to see your depth. We're getting to see the mind behind you. Again, as we said earlier, we like to limit people. We like to limit people into like, you just be a comedian, or you just be a race car driver, or you just be an actor. And it's like, we're starting to realize that, like you said, you're not just watching someone's life on TV. There's a human here. There's a story here, and we're getting that with you. Do you think it was this an epiphany that you had before the accident, or was it that this really, because in your Audible, when you talk about like how when it's just silent, you figure out what really matters. Like when I heard that, I was just thinking like, our near-death experiences, you were told when you came out of it, you should be dead, and you're like, well, I don't remember anything. Does that feel like that was a moment that there is a massive awakening, or were you already kind of working with some of this?
No, I was always a transparent and authentic person, but you definitely change.
That's what,
right? You definitely change, and by the way, still changing. I'm not sitting in front of you, as an unflawed man. Like I am my dad's child, and I'm my mother's child as well. There's nothing more humbling than a quiet room. There's nothing more humbling than the realization of what is really like necessary. What you take for granted and what we don't think twice about is not until that's compromised that the true appreciation for life, I feel like, can sometimes be had. I don't want to speak for everybody, because I think there are some people that truly do get it and that truly do think whatever their space or version of a higher power is daily for life and for what they do. I believe in God, so I'm not as spiritual as some may be, but I'm very thankful for the life that God has allowed me to live and the opportunities that I've been able to embark upon. But I got a lot more appreciation after life was almost gone, right? Like, do you really appreciate your toes? Do you really appreciate your fingers? Like, do you really think about your movement, your joints, vision, smell? You really think about how fortunate and lucky you are. It's the only time where I get a little, where I slow up, right? And when I'm slowing up, it's because the reality of that was significant. I really almost died. My kids and all that, like, what? As I'm moving so fast, I didn't even have everything dialed up for if said thing were to happen. Oh, because I'm out here, I'm just roaming. I'm out here aimlessly living, and I'm moving so fast, I've yet to grasp the true concept and reality of responsibility. Immediately, let me get my responsibilities in order. Because if that had have been, there would have been a lot of people with their hands up as to what, how, when. Fame is great, the lights are great. Kevin Hart, and I'm one. I was in that room with my goddamn wife, my brother, my kids. You look around, you got a lot of friends, you got a lot of people that love you, but then you start, what really matters that's when my mindset started to change. That's when you go, okay, my approach to just me and working on me, it needs to be different. I've contradicted myself a lot since, you know, I want to slow down. I'm going to make sure I give my family more time. I have. That doesn't mean that there can't be more. The day-to-day battle of, am I giving enough? Guys, you know how much dad loves you. I'm here. I'm like, you know, always working to make sure I do more. But is it enough? Am I a workaholic? Okay, but that's not a bad thing because you love to work. Yes, you do. That's a passion. You got something that you go after every day. That is a driving source for me. I'm not in the business of letting that go. But, boy, you better put your hands on these people and make sure. You better make sure that you are giving the time that you said you would when you were in that time of solace. Okay, all right. I'm constantly talking to myself. I have these conversations all the time. That's the beauty of taking my little runs. The beauty of working out, being in the gym. You talk to yourself. You better talk to yourself. You better have conversations. Figure out a yin and yang of good and bad. For me, it was about personal evolvement. And still trying, man. It's the biggest battle. The biggest battle is just doing it right all the time. That's a battle.
And knowing you're gonna get it right.
That's a battle, man. When I go to a restaurant and they bring out a plate, the waiters say it all the time, don't touch that plate, the plate hot. You know what I do, Jay? You know what I say after I touch it? It wasn't that hot.
Yeah.
They told me not to touch the plate.
Yeah.
He said it's hot.
Yeah.
But I still gotta go and touch the plate anyway. It's a battle. So being okay with understanding that I'm going to lose and win in this battle, and this battle is not over until the day I'm in the ground. Because you're not gonna get it right.
Nope.
You're not gonna get it right. And there's people with this idea and this mindset and mentality, they're gonna get it right and everything's gonna be perfect. It's not. Don't play that perfect game. Because all you will do is get let down because perfection does not exist. I do firmly stand on that and believe that.
Absolutely.
It doesn't exist, man. You should try your hardest to get things right. In moments where you got them wrong, figure out how to never get them wrong again. That's the world of compromise. That's the world of growth. That's the world of evolvement. I mean, I got a teenage daughter. Nobody prepared me for the world of, you know, like you talking about gotta get it right. Are we talking enough? Am I loving enough? Am I present? Am I listening? Am I just delegating? Am I parenting? Am I your friend? There's so much.
Yeah, so much.
Teenage son, little ones. I mean, my wife. It's a constant battle of energy. And as a guy who is an output, right? And I don't complain about that output, but those that I'm taking in from, I gotta make sure that I'm receiving that, and that I'm not moving too fast. I'm not making the most of those moments. And that's this level of consciousness I did not have before the accident. I was 1,000 miles per hour, and not that I'm not still moving fast, but I look at my peripheral.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my rearview mirrors, slowing down, sleeping. You know what I mean? Like there is a difference. I know there's a difference, but it's still a battle.
Yeah, it's still a battle.
It's still a battle.
Yeah. I love that you described it like a battle because what you just described is exactly the practice we have to have every day, which is you have to revisit, how do I get it right today? There isn't a day where now you just get it right from now till the end of time. It's revisiting that every day, saying, I'm recommitting to this. I'm gonna be a good dad today, right? You don't get to make a decision to be a good dad in 10 years. You have to do today, and then you do tomorrow. And I think that what's really interesting, the reason why I asked that question too was because I think memory is such an interesting thing. Sometimes when something big happens to us, we feel the shift that this is gonna change how I think, and then all of a sudden when things go back to normality, it can sometimes feel as if it never happened, but it sounds like for you, you've really used it as an anchor.
Well, I did.
Yeah, you've used it.
Even when you say like I'm going to be a good dad today,
Yeah.
right? You can only try your best.
Try your best, yeah.
To do that. Ultimately, just because you say you're a good dad don't make you a good dad.
No, of course not.
Just because you say you're a good boss don't make you a good boss. I can say it every day. I can think I'm doing it. But if on the opposite side, if I'm viewed differently, well, that would be because I'm doing something wrong and I'm not aware. What I now do is make sure that I'm looking at things through both lenses, not a one-sided POV.
I love that.
It's not just my perception of what I'm doing and how everybody else should see it.
Yeah.
In doing that, the way that I try my best to back up the hope of me being perceived as that is by putting the true work in to be that.
Yeah.
Making sure that I'm really engaged with the other people, making sure that there's a rapport, that there's energy. And, you know, the wife and kids, the same thing, making sure that there's a rapport, that there's, you know, I'm asking the questions and I'm getting the answers, but I'm asking for things so I can get the proper feedback so that if I do need to adjust or if I do need to fix, at least I'm aware.
Yeah.
Operating with the assumption that you are or that you're doing, it can be a crutch. Like
Yeah.
it can be a bad thing if I'm operating with the assumption, because one day you'll wake up and they'll go, you know, I never liked when, or what acted as a problem for me for all these years was when you, and then you just go, I never knew, you never said nothing. And sometimes people don't want to say anything. Sometimes people don't know how to say anything. So the world of dialogue, communication, and just openness is what I think I've gotten better at over the time. But once again, it's a constant space of improvement.
Yeah.
You're constantly trying to improve.
Yeah, that is the only way it can be. There is no other alternative, and there's a beautiful conversation between the Buddha and a student that I love, and the student approaches the Buddha and says, "What's the difference between I like you and I love you?" And the Buddha says, when you like a flower, you simply pluck it, but when you love a flower, you water it every day. And I'm like, that to me is what you're describing, that, and I love my kids, I have to be trying every day to understand from their point of view. The flower's gonna show you whether you're watering it or not. It's gonna die, it's gonna wilt, it's gonna not bloom or whatever it may be, and I feel like you've got to be so in tune with yourself and someone else in order to sense that. But I know what you're saying is so true, and I really do recommend this to anyone who's a big fan of Kevin's, as I am. Please do go listen to the audiobook, because Monsters and How to Tame Them, I mean, I have never heard someone be as open and transparent as you are in it. And you're so open about all your flaws, and there's one thing that you say here that, again, just, I was like, I have to talk to you about this, because it was just, it stuck with me. And you talk about it, and you say, you know, and you're just talking about the fame, and that's where the idea came from. You're just talking about how fame makes you feel invincible. And then when you talk about getting caught cheating, and you're like, I was in that frame of mind where I was like, it can't happen to me, right? It's not possible. And then you open up about it so raw, and in my head I'm thinking, what is it about the monster that gets you to do things even that are against your own values, right? Like, the monster gets so strong that you go as far as that, and when you get caught, you go, that was an awakening, but it still doesn't wake you up fully, right? There's a limitation, so walk us through that.
Well, I mean, look, you're talking about fame, you're talking about power, right? And that idea of invincible. Once again, this is a thing that a very small percentage of people are going to be able to experience or understand, right? And it's very easy from the outside